Hi everyone, I'm going to be trying something a bit fun I think today. I'm just fiddling with my camera for a minute so that I can see how much battery power is left. There we go. Now this is Rooms of Wonder. We have this page with the 6 bottles which I fancy, jars or whatever you might call them, which I really fancy doing. And I've decided to grab a colour cube card and pick a picture and match some colours and have some fun. So with my colour cube cards, I am working through them in order. Now this isn't the way you have to do them at all. This is just my method because I want to try them all out. So I thought, how am I going to try them all out? Well, I'll do them in order. So what I do is I grab my instructions card there and mark my place where I've got to. And so my next colour cube card is number 67. So I'm going to grab it out. I'm doing it on camera because I haven't seen it, so I haven't been able to plan. So I can talk you right through my whole planning process. So here's number 67. Let's put the box of the cube away. It's quite big. Just pop that to the side. So I've got number 67. So we have got quite a lovely, beautiful autumnal palette, but actually we've got quite a good range of colours. So we've got, if we turn it over, it does tell us the name. So we've got kale, mustard, orange, crimson and black. Now we can use 3 tones of each if we want to, or just the one, or mess around with it as much as sometimes I miss a colour out entirely if I can't quite get it to work. So my first job is to choose which one of the 6 bottles I'm going to colour. Let's come in a little closer. So I'm thinking we've got, if I do this for the whole page, I may or may not, then it's quite, I think I will. So I'm going to bear that in mind. Now I've got a green. Now several of these pages have got leaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I do like a green leaf. I know we shouldn't always think like that, but that's me. So that's one consideration. This one here, we've got lots of different fruit and veg, and actually we've got all the colours that we might need here. So I'm thinking we've got greens, we've got yellows like for the banana, we've got orange for the oranges, we've got a crimson which we could use sort of for the grapes and for the other fruits, and we've got a black which we could incorporate, I'm sure, maybe even if it's just for the lid. So I'm thinking this one is going to work quite well for these colours. It would certainly work probably for any of them, to be honest, but I'm thinking if I'm going to use a card for each, then I want one with quite a big range of colours for this specific picture, so that's what I'm going to do. So my next job is to choose some pencils. Now these are really small pictures, so I want a pencil that I can sharpen to a fine point. So for that reason I've picked, well, for one of the reasons I've picked Polychromos, but also because trying to match in these colours, if you've only got a small set, you may not find the colours that you need. So I've got my Polychromos here. So my next step is to choose my colours from my Polychromos tins. I shall move them across a little bit into view. It's a bit tricky. I can't get it all in shot. I can if I zoom out, maybe just about. They're big, aren't they? Well, we can do it in steps. So firstly, black. Now we do have 3 shades. So I'm thinking if I take the black, now that is quite a browny black. It's not a grey black. So I'm going to take the black and the dark sepia, I think. I'm not going to take a third. I think those 2. I may not need both, but I'm going to grab those. So I'm just going to start a pile. Now for the crimson, although it says crimson, to me these look like quite brownish colours, brownish red colours. So I am going to take, let's move this other tray up. See these colours? So I'm thinking this Indian red is quite, matches quite well, and maybe we'll take the caput mortuum as well. It's not identical, but I think it will work quite well in that range. And maybe I'm thinking I'm going to grab the Venetian red. I haven't swatched them out. You can, I sometimes do, but I'm just going to do it by eye. Now we've got oranges, but if we look at these oranges, they're not, let's just put that down a minute. They're not really bright, they're quite dulled oranges, so I'm thinking maybe not our really bright oranges, but maybe we'll look here towards the terracotta and sanguine. This is the sanguine. I think that's quite a good match there. And I'm thinking maybe just for something slightly lighter, if we go for the orange glaze, I always think that's a slightly more subtle orange, and then maybe the terracotta. Okay, so that's what I'm grabbing for those. Then we have mustard. No, we don't have a mustard, but I'm thinking it'll go for a green gold to go with that one. This is the dark Naples ochre, and then maybe the this is the light yellow ochre. I think it's those sorts of yellows. And lastly we have this kale colour. Let's just bring our tray with the greens up here. So these are sort of almost olivey greens. I'm thinking this the earth green yellowish, maybe the permanent green for that darkest one. Actually it's permanent green olive, and then maybe the May green. Maybe that looks a little bit more slightly like that, but not quite. That's what I'm going to go for anyway. Okay, so that's me. I've chosen. You may not agree with my choices. Sarah Renae Clark does have a piece of software you can buy which gives you the gives you ideas on, if you, whoops, that's my elbow, these ones. It tells you numbers, the closest numbers to these in various sets. Just, we need to come in a bit closer, I think, an awful lot closer. That might be enough. So she will tell you what the closest match is in Prismas, in polys. I think she may have done it for Artesas and some pencils and pens. If you look at her page, you can see. I'm just bringing my pencil choices closer again. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by filling in the objects that have obvious colours. Oops, I don't know if I want to keep that right in the way all the time for now. We can have a look at it again at the end. So I'm thinking with the fruit and veg, I know what sort of colours they are, so I think I'm going to colour those first and then think about where to use all my other colours after. So I've got my bananas. I'm going to start there with my brightest yellow, which is my dark Naples ochre, and I'm just going to get going. I'm just trying to work out this bunch. I think it's a bunch of bananas, and there's several like that all together. So I'm just going to put down the colour. I put a piece of paper behind the page, by the way, which is what I always tend to do. Now I'm going to grab my black because I always think that's what the wrestling is. I always think that bananas tend to have sometimes a little bit of black on them. Maybe in between each one, a bit of shadow. Like that. Sometimes they have a bit of brown as well, but we're not going to worry about that. I think that's fine. Let's do the pineapple. Now normally the top of the pineapple I would do in a greeny blue. We don't have that sort of colour. I'm just going to use my darkest green, which is the permanent green olive. Now ideally I would want to make it slightly darker at the bottom of each of these little leafy bits and then fade it towards the tip. But because they're small and our colour of green isn't as dark as I would have liked, I'm just going to block it in quite hard because then it will show up. Okay, that's my reasoning. Okay, now our main bit of pineapple I'm going to do with this green gold. I often do pineapples in this colour actually, but instead of doing, I'm not going to worry too much at the moment about all the segments. I'm just going to make it a little bit darker on the edge compared to the middle, and hopefully it makes it look a little bit more rounded like that. And then where those crisscrosses are, I might just take the sanguine, no, the terracotta is what I've got on my hand. Did I even pick up a sanguine in the end? Yeah, there it is. I'm going to grab the terracotta you can just about see the name. And just go over those crisscrosses with it. I think it's a little bit red really rather than brown, but it'll do. Okay, next we've got what I think is a pear here. I'm going to use my earth green yellowish. I have to keep sharpening everything. They're all a bit blunt. You can't really see, it just says yellowish. You see, this is a new one. My older polys have got capital letters on the names, and this one hasn't, and it's already really teeny. I think that little one behind is a pear as well. There we go. The grapes. What do we have for grapes? We could do them green, but I like black grapes, but we don't have the right cut. Red. Maybe we'll try this. Let's try the caput mortuum and see how it turns out. For like a sort of red grape, it's a bit brownish. I think we can just about get away with it. I think it doesn't look totally unlike grapes. I'm alright with that. Now we've got a little bit of stalk. I'm just going to grab the May green for that. I don't know if you can see. There we go. And just do this bit. And then we've got what to me looks like it could be oranges. Should we do those as oranges? Let's use our orange glaze for those. Now we've already used lots of colours, which is fun. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. Now I'm going to use this orange to do some of the fruit down here. I should have probably done the pears. I think these look like oranges. I'm going to try to make them a little bit darker at the bottom and lighter towards the top. You could use a bit of your sanguine or terracotta to make them definitely darker, but I think it's okay to do it like this, just to fade it a bit. It's easier, it's quicker, and it looks, to me it looks fine. Right, I'm going to do those pears. Now what did we use for the pears? I think we used the earth green yellowish, didn't we? Can't remember. So this one's quite big and we can see it, so I'm going to try and make it a little bit darker on the edges, and then I do a big squibble. Hang on, just get my eraser. I don't know if you can see that, but a really dark line in the middle. That really wasn't what I was wanting. Hopefully you didn't do that. So the idea is to try and make it dark on the edge and a bit lighter in the middle. I still haven't quite got there, but it's a bit better. Now all these other pears in the sort of bucket. Now when we finish the fruit, we need to think about the background, I think. Now it's a glass jar, obviously. Now, it could be see-through, but if you just leave it as see-through, then it's harder to make it look glass. It sounds really weird. I think it's better to put a background on and then put some white on it to make it look glassy. That's what I want to do. I've got to think about my background so that I don't use all my colours before I've put one in. And also so it sort of stands out or fades back or whatever. It works. Let's just say we need to make it work. So I think I need to stop right now and think about that before I do any more of these fruits or anything that's going to be in the we could do it dark, like black, brown, but I think that's going to look a bit too, I don't know what the word is, wrong. So I'm thinking maybe this red, we've got this Venetian red, we haven't used it yet. I'm thinking if I do this quite lightly, but not too light, I need the white pen to show up on the edges. So I'm going to go quite deep on the edges and then try and sort of fade it a little bit as I go towards the middle. and then we'll have the right sort of amount of colour to put some white on. And try not to colour on top of the fairy lights. I don't know what they are. I'm not going to colour them as if they're giving out light. I'm just going to colour them in a colour. I think it's quite good to do it dark along there as well, because the lid might be giving some sort of shadow. And then along here too. Now I'm actually going to make the whole of the background the same colour, even though we've got like a floor and a wall, I guess. It's easier. So, I think it'll work better. It'll sort of make more sense, I think. You may choose not to do it this way. Ooh, I'm going to colour that little leaf in. Oh, look where I erased. I scratched the paper, can you see? And so I'm not getting my pencil in there. I'm just going to do that little pear leaf in the permanent green olive. There. Right, and I'm going to have a challenge to try and get my pencil into that. Getting there. There we go. Yeah, sometimes when these Tombow erasers are too short, can you see how short it is? You can scratch it with a metal neck or whatever you would call this. So I think I've just about rescued it. It's not like it's going to go on display in an art gallery. Not going to worry about it. The whole idea of colouring is to relax, not to worry. Notice we've got some Johanna's drawn dots around these light circles, so we could do that with a white pen. I've grabbed a white pen. For some reason I took it next door. I brought it back today because I thought I would use it for my glass, so we might use it for that as well. Oh, so I have itchy head. I've got such itchy skin. I think it's my age. My scalp, my legs, my arms. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Anyway. I'm determined to get past this sort of menopausal stage, and I want to feel like I'm 20 again. But let's try and think what I was doing when I was 20. What did I do? I was still at university. Walking, I used to walk to university. Sometimes I'd get the bus. It depends where I was, how far away, because there were different campuses. I was split between 3, which made it interesting. I think that was between the ages of 18 and 22. I was at uni. I did an extra year because I changed my course. So I had to pick up an extra year to get all my core studies done. I'm trying to fade this towards the middle. And sometimes I was living at home, which was nice. Sometimes I would walk if I was in the same town. Otherwise I'd get a bus because it's about 10 miles. It's a bit of a walk. And yeah, if I had an early morning lecture, my dad would drop me at opposite the bus stop, which was fun. And then I would just have to cross the road and we'd wait for the bus. And there was a group of us that would all catch the same bus at that one bus stop. It was quite funny because all of us that caught that particular bus at that particular stop were all doing the same course. Nobody else would catch the bus there. It's very strange. Anyway, maybe there were no other classes at that time. I don't know. But so we would all have a natter about the course and various other bits and pieces. That was fun. And or I would, if I was walking, I'd be on my own usually. My sister, because I'm a twin, as you may know, she was doing her course at the same place as me as well, but she rarely walked in with me because she was doing a teaching qualification, training to be a teacher. Unfortunately, she didn't quite make it and changed her course as well as me. Actually, she did 4 years too. We've coloured a lot over the flags, but hey, that's okay. I'm going to really darken up this edge a bit more. I just want it to be darker. So yeah, we rarely walked in together because she would tend to do a whole day every day, whereas I would have about 3 hours a day, 2-3 hours a day, and that was it, which was a bit skivey, I suppose. Now let's carry on with our fruit, shall we? Get back to doing that. So now we've got this background colour, I can choose these without worrying about it. I need them to show up. So I think they're going to have to be, we could do more oranges, or we could just do green things. Because I don't want to do brown or black. We've got to do our black, I know. We'll do it some point. So I'm thinking the outside of this melon is going to be green. I'm going to use the dark green, the permanent green olive for that. So yeah, I guess I was quite fit. It used to take about, the one place that I used to walk to used to take about 35 minutes to walk. But I remember feeling so, university was such a nice time for me, and I'm hoping my boys feel the same. I was free of responsibility. You know, I was still living at home, I didn't have bills to pay. I had money, which was nice. They will too. They won't get money in the way that I did, but they will have some. I'm thinking of using the caput mortuum for some of these containers, but then I'm wondering about the table legs as well. No, I know what I'm going to do for the table legs. Excuse me, this wooden one, sometimes this can look a bit brown, and I'm thinking if I put it down and then cover it with a bit of dark sepia, just a tad, it might look a little bit woodish. I'm gonna try. And what's I eating? I was a vegan. This is the dark sepia. I wasn't eating particularly well, I have to say. I eat much better now. Used to have to cook from scratch because you couldn't get many vegan processed foods, you know, but I used to eat a lot of crisps and chocolate and stuff. Could get that. Yeah, that looks quite woody. Now the table legs I thought I would just do in dark sepia. While I've got it in my hand, I'm going to just do them. I'm going to make them a little darker on the edge. Where that shaded, and a little shinier in the middle. It didn't quite work. See if I can do this one better. So darker around the edge and a little shinier down the middle. A little bit. There we go. Okay, now this fruit, I think I'm going to use the lightest green. That's the May green for whatever this is. It could be apples, couldn't it? In fact, that's an apple, so if we do that the same, it'll sort of tie up, maybe, if you look hard. Okay, now this one, I want to be a different colour fruit. What have we got? We've got Indian red. Should we colour them that and see are they going to stand out? I think they will. She's arguing with herself. We'll try it. But what are they? Pomegranates? Maybe? Maybe a plum? I don't know. There we go. They do stand out, so I'm happy. Now this centre of the melon, I'm thinking we could do it as a watermelon, but we just don't have the right colour. So I'm thinking I could do it slightly yellowy. If I use this light yellow ochre, and we just do it yellowy, it might look like, I don't know what it's called, cantaloupe? Not sure if that's the right name. Anyway, we'll leave it like that. Right, let's methodically work through now from bottom to top. So we've got this container. What should we use for that? I don't want that colour. I could do a green actually. Let's do the May green, whoops, for the container for that one. We can sort of mix up the colours a bit. I think it will work. It looks nice and bright, cheerful. Yeah, when I first moved out of home, I remember I used to do sort of exercises every night, like sit-ups and things like that. That sort of thing. I'm going to use, no, that's our background colour. Can't use that. Yeah, let's use this. This is the sanguine. We haven't used it yet. Let's use it for this bucket. I think it's a bucket because it's got these like handles. It could just be like a casserole dish or something. I don't know if that's... It's a bit too similar to the background, isn't it? Let's grab some dark sepia and just darken it up a little bit. We need it to not look too much like the table leg, but if I can just use a little, it might just look a little less like the background, a little darker. I think that's okay. Now the centre one I've decided we're going to do in green gold, and then it'll look quite different to anything else around it. I was also doing a lot of self-help at that time, which I'm doing again now, which is nice, self-help books and things. Now, plate. Sanguine. I know we just tried that and it didn't really stand out. I'm hoping it will if I layer it down and then fade it. I think it will. I've got to think about that tablecloth. See, it's tempting to do sort of red polka dots with a white cloth, but I want to colour some colour. So I'm going to use my lightest yellow, which is my dark Naples ochre. I'm going to use it all over the cloth just because it's easier. And then we'll colour the dots on top after. That's, if you're doing a light background, you can generally pull this off. Depends whether your background colour is going to change the colour of your dots too much, but I haven't decided what colour they're going to be, so it doesn't matter. Like that. Now some of these areas are going to be a little bit darker, like here. I'm going to try and just layer up the yellow a little bit. I can hear a dog barking. There we go. There. Yeah, I was thinking the other day how I want to go back to that laid-back person I was when I was in uni. Orange glaze, and I hope I can. What I used to do, I know I sound like I'm quite laid back. What I used to, when I was left school, I decided that I wanted to be different. I didn't have many friends. I found it, well, I had a little group just by the end, but you know, didn't make friends easily. We were a sort of group of misfit kids who didn't really just hung around because we didn't have friends who anybody else really, although well, a few, you know, one of the girls I felt quite close to, and I still do. I'm trying to work out, is that, I think that's a see-through plastic container with a lid with a straw hole. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not really sure how to colour that. Now I think what we'll do is we'll make the colour of the stuff in there the same colour as these, as if some of it's been put in there. And I'm thinking if we go for an orangey colour, and it will look a bit different, it will stand out. So I'm going to use the orange glaze. Okay. And so what I decided I was going to do was that I was going to go to university, smile at everybody, not worry about making a friend specifically, just chat to people sitting around me. It's not something I would normally have done, and because I was too shy, but I just wanted to give it a go, and I gave it a go. Now, grabbing my black for our sort of mixer. I'm going to do the lid in black, and it worked really well. My confidence increased hugely within the first few. I'm going to try and make this look glassy by doing a really light black. It's how I would normally do it if it's grey. I'm not going to do this bit black. We'll do it in the dark green. Well, I say dark, in our darkest green, in the permanent green olive. And so yeah, I became much more chilled, much more confident. It was really good. And then I started doing a bit more self-help. When I started work after uni, I got a little bit stressed, but then I got better again. And then I went away to do a master's, and that was really interesting because that was quite a test leaving home then. Now I'm tempted to do these as lights. I am going to do that, and we'll get some yellow pen or white pen to make them look sparkly. So I'm going to use the dark Naples ochre for all of these. Changed my mind. And I felt like I was ready. I didn't feel like I was ready to leave home at 18, but by the time I was 23, I was ready to go off and just try something on my own. I am going to do this bunting in green, just shades of green. So I'm going to get the earth green yellowish and do some. But once I had my children, I started getting a bit more anxious about them and things like that. And also I think it's just my hormones at the moment are making me feel a bit more anxious, and I want to stop being anxious. So I'm trying different things, such as permanent green olive for the rest, such as the colour, the colouring, no, that wasn't, I never took that up for relaxation. It helps, but I just took it up for fun. Such as the yoga that I'm doing, but I've been doing Pilates lately because I find the yoga really hard. So yeah, I need to do some yoga today, I think. Now this jar lid, I'm really tempted to try and do a bit of a gold, but I'm looking at what I've got here. I'm gonna try. I think it'll be fun. Let's try make gold or sort of metallic. I'm gonna start with black. Not going to do too much black, just a bit on the edge and just bring it in like that. So yeah, I'm determined to get past this and be back to more relaxed me. Like, you know, my son's got a lot of homework at the moment and it's stressing me out. It shouldn't be stressing me out. It's not my homework, caput mortuum. If he doesn't do it, it's not the end of the world, although one bit is some coursework that he has to do. But he should be able to do it, and I shouldn't be worrying about it, but I am. So I need to sort of train myself and give myself a kick up the bum. I'm getting better. I read a good book as well at the weekend, which was funny. It was about relationships. It was a fictional book. Where to next? Yeah, let's go terracotta. No, that's sanguine. Let's go sanguine. This is going to be a bit bronzy, coppery, I think. But it was just, it made me think a bit, and it was good. It made me think about, I don't know, different things about my relationship with my husband and my children and stuff, which was really, really good, really enlightening. I'm going to use the terracotta next. And it made me laugh, which is nice. My family are used to me just randomly laughing when I'm reading books to myself. I'm going to grab a bit of orange glaze. I don't know why. It's going to be quite, I'm going to put this all over it, only extend a bit because I want to get in some yellows, some of the yellows soon. There we go. And then green gold. This is going to be quite an interesting colour. Going over everything with the green gold. The We're going to do one more colour after this, I think. I want to really brighten and lighten, so I'm going to use the dark Naples ochre. I just realise how squiff we are. I think that straightens us up. Sometimes when I'm looking in the camera, I can't work out which way to turn the book to make it straight. Yeah. Never mind. Right, so I'm putting this down quite hard to make everything look more bright and shiny, and hopefully we get a bit of a metallic-y looking lid. That's quite fun. I don't think it matches the jar, but it's fun. Right, white pen. This is my Posca white. Now we're going to do a few different marks on here. So we're going to do some on the edge of here, like that, and on our glass where here, try and make it look a bit more glassy. Then we're going to do some here on Johanna's lines to try and make, whoops, this look more glassy. Try and follow her lines, don't make it all wibbly wobbly like I did. There we go, across there as well. Put some dots around these lights like she has. You can go over hers or make your own. I'm just making my own. It's easier, and hers can be there as well, so like that. The white pen doesn't stand out massively in the centre because it's light. That's why I kept putting it darker on the edge, because I knew we were going to put some white on the edge. And I put a bit of shine on some of the fruit as well. Ooh, the grapes don't want to be shiny. Come on, grapes. There you go. Not on that because picture. Can make the edge of the melon a bit shiny. Should really put the shine on the same side and think about where the light's coming from. I'm being a bit random. There we go. And I'm thinking we could put, I don't think the pineapple's going to be shiny. We could put some lines through the glass to make it look even more shiny, like this. Make it look even more like it's glass. This is quite daring. I wouldn't have done this when I was first learning because I think I might wreck it, but I'm just going for it. And we could put a bit of shine on the edge of our jar lid as well. I think that's enough white. I just scribbled over it all in white if you leave me too long with a white pen in my hand. But I think that is done. So let's bring back the original card so you can have a look. There is the so we had our, it's very autumnal scene. It doesn't look autumnal, but we haven't tried to replicate. See, some people I think would say, oh, that's an autumnal picture, I'll find trees and do an autumnal scene. That's perfectly fine, but for me, I don't always look at the picture, I just look at the colours and I use them as inspiration. So there we go. So that was fun. I don't know if I'm going to do all the others on camera the same. I might do. I might make this into a series. I haven't quite decided yet. So I've got a planner page to do next, so I've got to concentrate on that and then maybe come back to this page. But I had a lot of fun. So and I think it's quite fun to show you how I might use these cards, because you know, there's not one set way of using them. You know, like I showed you how I picked a few colours each for here and here, but you know, you don't have to do that. You can just use the one, particularly if you're using pen, because you can't necessarily blend, but then perhaps you don't need to, it doesn't matter. Also, I mixed a few up, which might be seen as cheating, I don't know, because you know, you could make all sorts of colours by mixing these up, and in the end maybe you might think, well, you might as well not have had a card, but you know, I just had fun with it really. So now I'm going to stop waffling on and say thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have lots of fun, do some colouring, chill, relax, and yeah, thank you for watching. Happy colouring.